Hi, I'm Mr. Huber, and in this video I would like to do exercise 10a. So we're given the height h 12.3 and b 18.5. These are units of length, no centimeters, no meters, just units of length. Well, let's draw a right-angled triangle and label it properly ABC, then the height h. This is the right angle up here. This is B 18.5 and the height is 12.3. Well, we need to work out all the missing sides and angles. Well, that's easy. Well, we could start off like this, with this red triangle, because this is a right one too. So we could work out alpha. That would work like this. It's a sine because it's opposite over hypotenuse in the right angled triangle. Sine of alpha is 12.3, opposite over hypotenuse. Now we work this out. We need to use arc sine, obviously. Let me write this up before I type it in. The inverse sine, the inverse function, or sine to the minus 1. So let's do this. Shift sine to the minus 1, 12.3 divided by 18.5. So that's 41.67. Alpha is approximately 41.67 degrees. Well, if you want, you could store this value and say, well, shift store A, and that's how you store it. So this is now my value A. Good, because we don't want to work with rounded values. So once we have that, we know that we can work out beta quite easily, because alpha plus beta plus 90 degrees is 180 degrees. Alpha plus beta plus the 90 degree angle. Well, that means alpha plus beta is in a right angled triangle always 90 degrees, which then means beta is just 90 degrees minus alpha. Well, this is a mental calculation. That would be 90 degrees minus this. That would be 48.33 degrees. So now we know alpha and beta. So once you know alpha, you can work out A or C. Doesn't matter. So let's do that. Let's work with in this case, the tangent. Tangent in the large triangle. Tangent alpha is opposite over adjacent, so A over B. Let's plug in the numbers we know. Well, we know tangent 41.67 degrees. We don't know A, but we do know B, 18.5 times 18.5. So A is 18.5 times tangent of 41.67 degrees. So now you could use the rounded value or the stored value. I'm going to use the stored value, 18.5 times tangent, recall A, and I get 16.466, so approximately 16.47 units of length. What would have happened if I had used my rounded value, 41.67? Well, in this case, everything would have been the same up to the second decimal in your after the decimal point, okay? But then it's not the same thing anymore. But when rounded, it would have been the same thing. But well, if you use more and more rounded values, your mistakes will increase. So make sure that you are as exact as possible and in my case, I would always try and store the values. So now we could work out c, either by using Pythagoras. B squared plus a squared is c squared. But I have not stored this value now. So I could do almost the same thing again with a sine or a cosine. Let's go for a cosine. Look, cosine alpha. I could have done it with sine, then I would have used a, but I don't want to use a because sine of alpha would be opposite over hypotenuse. As we know a now, we could do it, but I'm going to use cosine because I'm using the value I was given at the beginning. So cosine alpha is adjacent over hypotenuse in the large triangle. Adjacent, so that's B, over the hypotenuse, C, that's what I want to know. So we can plug in all the numbers we know. This is 41.67 degrees. We do know B 18.5, but we don't know C. So what we do, we multiply by C. So we get C times cosine of 41.467 degrees is equal to 18.5. Now we divide by the cosine. We divide by the cosine, so we get C is equal to 18.5 divided by the cosine of 41.67 degrees. So now we don't use the rounded value, we use the stored value because we stored it here. So let's type this in. This is 18.5 divided by cosine 41.67. Let's use the value we stored here like this. And now we get C is equal to 24.77 units of length. As I said, you could have done it with a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So we could have done it like this. A squared plus b squared. Let's just use the rounded values in order to see the differences. So it's 16.47 squared plus 18.5 squared. Let's type this in. Square root of 16.47 squared plus 18.5 squared. Well, we get the same thing when rounded to 2 decimals. So C is 24.77 approximately. Look, if you use 2 rounded values, your mistake might be bigger than when you use only 1 rounded value. In this case, when rounded to 2 decimals after the decimal point, we get the same thing. I hope it wasn't too difficult. There are many solutions. This is one of them. So see you in the next one.